This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. If you take one single thing away from what I'm getting ready to talk about, Donald Trump's continued calls for violence, death, and destruction in this case, early this morning on Truth Social. If you take one thing away, I want it to be that zero consequence for Donald Trump, legally, zero consequences equals more incitement of violence. Zero pushback from Republicans means more incitement to violence. There has never been a deterrent for Donald Trump to stop this. He got off scot-free up to this point, scot-free for his behavior and his role in the insurrection against the country. And here we are, we find ourselves once again with our leaders silent, the Justice Department sitting on its hands, at the very least operating at a snail's pace relative to holding Donald Trump accountable. Republicans silent. Democrats, they'll say some things, but there's no action. And Donald Trump continues to post the things that he posts, inciting violence, not just of your run-of-the-mill insurrectionist agreeable types, like the thousands who stormed the United States Capitol, but a clarion call to separatist groups, to white nationalist groups, to militia groups, the organized types who fetishize combat, who yearn for a race war or a civil war. And our inaction as a country allows this to happen. Just yesterday, what did he say? District Attorney Bragg is a danger to our country, he says. And like with anything else, Donald Trump's accusations are admissions of guilt. He's projecting. At 1:08 a.m. this morning, Donald Trump posted this to Truth Social. What kind of person can charge another person, in this case, a former president of the United States who got more votes than any sitting president in history and leading candidate by far for the Republican nomination, with a crime when it is known by all that no crime has been committed, and also known that potential death and destruction in such a false charge would be catastrophic for our country. Why and who would do such a thing? Only a degenerate psychopath that truly, spelled incorrectly, hates the USA. Donald Trump is under the false apprehension that running for president will extricate him from accountability for his crimes, for his role in an attempt to overthrow the United States government by way of overturning a free and fair election. My criticism here is, if we're doing a little pie chart, it is by far more for Republicans because they gave him power. They allowed him to act unfettered like a dangerous asshole for 4 years with no pushback. They're too afraid of his Svengali-like hold over the base. They're too addicted to power to say anything. 75% or so is the blame I'll put on Republicans. But I have criticisms for Democrats too. I have criticism for the Justice Department, for Merrick Garland, for Jack Smith. What are we doing here, gentlemen? What are we doing here? While you slowly and methodically investigate, while you postpone accountability for Donald Trump, he calls for death and destruction. He's threatening prosecutors with violence. This is mafioso tactics. This is Banana Republic nonsense. This is autocracy run amok. This is someone who is threatening an uprising of his supporters, his armed and dangerous following, if indeed he's not just let off the hook scot-free by prosecutors. Does that seem legal to you? It doesn't seem legal to me. And you can't make excuses here that, he's couched the language so delicately that there's no way we can do anything. No. That they know if they charge him, is what he's saying here, that there will be potential death and destruction in such a false charge. That people, he's admonishing them, encouraging them to do so, to rise up and create death and destruction in his name for his false prosecution for a false crime that someone's already gone to prison for, that he's already admitted he paid the money. Remember this, I'll just play this clip I was watching today from 2018 where he's sitting down with Ainsley Earhardt. Remember, anytime I talk about little Ainsley Earhardt, I'm going to play this clip where she says, "What about the majority? I'm so tired of taking care of the minority."
What about the majority? Okay, I'm so tired of protecting the minority.
So he sat down with Ainsley Earhardt, and he said this.
Did you know about the payments?
Later on, I knew. Later on. But you have to understand, Ainsley, what he did, and they weren't taken out of campaign finance. That's a big thing. That's a much bigger thing. Did they come out of the campaign? They didn't come out of the campaign. They came from me, and I tweeted about it. I don't know if you know, but I tweeted about the payments.
And yet, he wants off the hook. And yet, he wants us to forget about all of the interviews and the tweets that he sent out, admitting to the thing that he now says wasn't a crime, even though the reason he said it wasn't campaign finance before was because it was a crime. And he was trying to, I paid it. It's a real thing that happened, but it wasn't campaign finance related. Now calls for death and destruction. And we know he does have the ability to create a frenzy and create violence and destruction. We witnessed it on January 6, 2021. What do you think? I'd love to know. You can leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. You can leave a comment. You can email me daily at dollemore.com. Where am I wrong? Do you disagree? Follow me on social media. You can tell me there as well. At Dollemore, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And if you appreciate what I do and you want to help support my work, you want to help produce what I'm doing here, the content, to amplify the message, you can become a channel member. Click the join button below. $2 a month. Become a YouTube channel member. Or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I hope you're as frustrated as me. I hope you are as bothered by this as me. I hope that you'll tweet at the Justice Department. You'll make a call. You'll write a letter. You'll call your representative. Because if we sit on our hands while our leaders sit on theirs, nothing will be done except by Donald Trump supporters. It's up to all of us. I love you guys. Thanks for engaging with my content. I'll see you later. Be genuine. Take care of one another.